Summer vacation is on the horizon, but a new study shows a large majority of Gen Z and millennial workers are not taking their paid time off. Instead, they're opting for what some are calling quiet vacationing by taking breaks during their shifts without calling out or even letting their bosses know. For more, we are joined by Dr. Jessie Kriegel. She is the Chief Scientist of Workplace Culture at Culture Partners. Good to have you with us, Doctor. So walk us through quiet vacationing. What does this look like and why is this happening?
Well, there's two elements to it. The first is that people are not taking their PTO. And then the second is that they are taking time off during their shift or during the day, and they're not telling anyone about it. So what I'm seeing here is a dynamic in that people want to go on vacation, but they feel afraid or unable to say to their boss, I need some time off, even if it's PTO that they've earned, that they've been gifted. And I think that that has to do with people's perception that those that take time off may be viewed as weak at work. We want to get ahead. And so we need to act as if we are productivity robots that are always on. And yet we also know that we're people and we have to take time off. And so we do it on the sly.
I'm fascinated when we look at the stats that were just on the screen, that 37% of people are scheduling a message to send outside of their regular hours. That are some planning going on here, isn't there?
I mean, it is insane because at the same time, you have people who are working late at night in order to keep up with the amount of workload that they have and then scheduling those messages to not go out until the next day because they don't want to be perceived as working outside of hours. It's very complicated with work from home culture now, trying to understand what's normal, what's not normal, how am I supposed to show up? And what most people do is they follow the leader. So what the leader is doing is what they then feel they need to do. So if you as a leader, I'm talking to you CEOs, if you're going on vacation, actually take that time off. Don't dial into the all hands call from Hawaii on the beach because you're sending a signal to your team that you can't really take time off.
So let's talk about the root of some of this. As you mentioned, we've got a Harris poll survey, 83% of employees happy with their paid time off. But here's the thing, 78% of people say they aren't utilizing all those days. Why is this? Why are Gen Z and millennials not taking all their vacation time?
Well, I think as a millennial myself, I can tell you that I have heard for the last 10 or 20 years that I am lazy and entitled. So there's clearly a perception that people have about young people. And as a young person, we have to overcome that perception with our behavior. So I think people are feeling like because they are perceived as lazy, they're not able to actually do the things that we all need to do, which is to rest and recharge. Otherwise, they may miss out on an opportunity to grow and become the executive that they aspire to be.
You don't seem lazy to me. I'm just going to point that out.
Thank you. It's very early here. I am not lazy.
I have to point out, like, I was off earlier this week, and I was actually sending emails and working. Those were actually from me. Those were not scheduled ahead of time. So here's the question. What is it employers can do? You gave some advice to employees, but what can employers do to really try and create this culture?
Well, I think this is about mindset. And when I talk to leaders about this quiet vacationing dynamic, you got half of the people are saying that's time theft, right? Those employees are taking time away from the company and it's outrageous. And then the other half are saying, wow, there's something wrong here that they're not taking PTO and yet they're still taking time off, but feeling like they have to hide it. So as a leader, which one do you want to be? Do you want to be the one that's worried about your employees taking time off without telling you and that they're stealing from the company? The reality here is that executives have been doing this forever. When an employee calls their boss and they can hear the golf swings in the background, they don't say anything, right? But when an employee does it, suddenly it's news. I mean, it's outrageous.
It's a good point right there. All right, Dr. Jessie Kriegel, great conversation. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me.